filme! Je te filme!
Regardez, c'est les paroles des
C'est pour qui vous travaillez pour Rebel News, juste pour vous interposer. Yeah, just go for it.
You can't touch me.
Tu peux pas me toucher, monsieur?
J'ai le droit de vous toucher pour vous tasser.
I'm not talking to you. I'm just telling you don't
Don't fucking touch me, okay?
I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
You are
touch
literally
me.
touching me.
You touch me.
Get your hands off me.
Oh, no.
Get your hands off me.
Holy. I'll stop. Just play the intro. This is Alexa Lavoie's report. I'm not playing the whole thing at all. Vous les provoquez, you're provoking them. That's Alexa Lavoie's report. That was the intro. I'm going to shut it down and I'm going to give everybody the link so that you go and watch that and get enraged and get mad as hell and go to the window and scream, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Appreciate what those cops were saying to Rebel News. You're journalists. You're not allowed here. You're being here. Set aside what the protest is. It could be protesting animal rights for all I care. The protest doesn't matter. They're telling independent media, don't be here because your presence here is provocative. It's going to make the mob angry and we can't have that. Imagine if they did that to CBC. Like, I don't give a sweet bugger all if you don't think Rebel News is legitimate journalism. If you don't, you're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to be a moron. Now, the wonderful thing about freedom is that you're free to be a jackass. If you don't think that they're legitimate journalists, okay, I think you're wrong. I think you're stupid. I think you're a moron. Let's just say then that I don't think CBC News are legitimate journalists. I think they're propagandists. Could you imagine the cops going up to CBC News at the trucker protest and saying, you guys get out of here, and then physically assaulting CBC News? It didn't happen at the trucker protest that the protesters ever got aggressive, violent, or harassing with anybody. It didn't happen. If you say it happened, you're an idiot who probably thinks Rebel News is not legitimate journalism. But just hypothetically operate on this intellectual game. What do they call them? Not a mind game, not a psychological game, a thought experiment. Operate on this thought experiment that CBC, CNN, and other fake news outlets provoked the ire of the trucker protests. People who have been maligned, defamed, besmirched, demeaned, degraded. Imagine that the presence of CBC News provoked a violent, harassing response from the trucker protest, and the cops, instead of arresting whoever got aggressive, violent, or whatever within the protest, beat the ever-loving shit out of a woman reporter. What do you think the world would say or do? I can give you a hint. They would scream bloody murder, and rightly so. That was Natasha in Montreal. I've been talking about it all week. It's going to be on The Unusual Suspects at 6 o'clock. Getting violently assaulted, hospitalized, because a cop says your presence here provokes the angry protesters. So we're going to get you out of here. I'm going to put my hands on your hips like I'm your husband. And then when you take my hands off your hips, woman, I'm going to break your arm. He didn't break her arm. Small miracles. I'm going to twist your arm in various directions. 3 of us big, burly, armed, vested men are going to beat the shit out of you, slam you into the stairs, hospitalize you, and then press charges against you for assault. And where is any leader of a politician in all of this? You know who the only Canadian politician thus far that I know of who has spoken out about it? Take a guess, people. Time's up. You had your one guess? I don't consider myself to be a politician because I'm not. I'm going to put this on blast so that Tucker Carlson sees it, so that Joe Rogan sees it, so that Tim Pool sees it, so that Patrick Bet-David sees it, so that Steve Bannon sees it, that they are the cops physically assaulting female independent media, groping them like they're their wives, and then throwing them on the ground because they think, I know who you are. I know who you are. You're Rebel News. You're here to provoke. Who's the only Canadian politician thus far that said a damn thing about it? Maxime Bernier. Maxime Bernier. This week, the woke police brutalized, handcuffed, and arrested independent journalists at Natasha Montreal at a pro-Hamas demonstration in Montreal. Meanwhile, women's rights and anti-gender ideology activists and PPC candidate Megan E. Murphy had her bank account frozen for no apparent reason by order of the government and is stuck in Mexico. These outrageous violations of our basic rights and freedoms are becoming normalized. The establishment and political parties don't care about it or even support it. The PPC has been warning you for years that Canada is becoming an authoritarian country. Will you just let it happen without a fight? And in fairness, he's retweeting a story from Megan Murphy, who's running for the PPC. Oh, so Maxime Bernier, you call him a grifter. I won't label it. You call him a grifter. You call him a vote splitter. He's the only Canadian politician talking about it. Has the CBC News said boo about it? You all want me to wait a few seconds and get to the right answer? Let me get my tweet on this. Where is my tweet on this? I know I had one. Yeah, let me just I was tweeting at the CBC earlier today. I want to bring it up. There. Hey CBC, got a question for you. Have you reported on the female reporter who was groped by a cop, then violently assaulted and hospitalized by multiple Montreal police officers? You worthless sacks of propagandist garbage. I'm trying not to swear quite as much on Twitter these days. Would have said you worthless sacks of shit if I really wanted, but no, should be a better person. I'll just, whenever I say things like cowards, you know what I mean. Whenever I say things like propagandist garbage, you know what words I want to use. Do you see the way those men are forcing Natasha's head and shoulders into the stairs? What's that? You didn't report on this incident in Montreal. Why not? Better keep fear-mongering about non-existent issues with the U.S. You wouldn't want to upset the government that pays you. You are awful. I hope you know that, CBC News. Here's the police officer touching Natasha's hips like he's her boyfriend. Or like they're dancing at a nightclub. Hey, lady, I own you. Oh, what's that? You took my hand off of me? Well, now I'm going to assault you. Look at this. He's almost smiling. Is that him? Is that the guy on the left? I think it's the guy on the left. Yeah. No, it's not. I think it's the guy on the right here. This is the face of, I can't believe what freaking country I live in anymore. Here's the guy, the cop, twisting her arm behind her back. You know, because she's a threat. Because she has a camera in her hand. Because she's a woman, independent journalist without security. Oh, yeah, but hey, she might have something in that bag, I guess, right? Whatever your effing name is, may it be put on blast and may you be fired and sued. Here they are, slamming her into the stairs. She was hospitalized. Has CBC News said anything? Of course not, because they are state-funded propaganda. No better than Pravda, maybe worse. At least people knew what Pravda was. So the media says nothing. Politicians say nothing except Maxime Bernier, who takes flack for being a vote splitter because, oh my goodness, if he's a vote splitter, that means people actually want to see a politician with a bit of backbone, with a bit of spine. Where has Pierre Poilievre been in all of this? Silent like a fish. Well, I wouldn't want to say anything. I mean, I don't want to upset the media. I don't want to upset the fence sitters. I don't want to associate myself with Rebel News. Then they're going to call me Trump-esque. I am done with Pierre's cowardice, with his silence, with his absolute, I mean, I don't even know what the word is, and I'm trying not to swear. Absolute idiocy. People think I'm going too hard on Pierre. He's facing a villain, and he's siding with the villain. Some people say, Viva, you don't go hard enough against Mark Carney. If you think I don't go hard enough against Mark Carney, again, you're an idiot. You're free to have your opinion. You're free to be stupid, uneducated, and ignorant. You're an idiot if you think I haven't gone hard enough against Mark Carney. Why wouldn't I criticize Mark Carney for not saying anything? Because he's the problem. He's the villain. And you know what you call the person who has the power to stand up to the villain but doesn't? You call them a coward. And the excuses, the pathetic, pitiful excuses coming from the conservatives. Oh, it's Viva, you've been Americanized by American politics. You don't know how it is in Canada. Hey, I was criticizing Pierre when I lived in Canada. For those of you who want to say, Viva, you're a coward, you left the country. Well, first of all, I was vocal when I lived in the country. I ran for the PPC. I was critical of Pierre for damn near 5 years now. Not to be critical for the sake of being critical. I don't expect Trudeau to change. I was critical of Pierre and the Conservatives so that maybe In the 4 years of time when I said, hey, Pierre, maybe it's not a good idea to call Christine Anderson an extremist and tell her to go home. Hey, Pierre, maybe it's not a good idea to throw the truckers under the bus after you took a photo op with them when it became cool to do it and then cool to not do it. Hey, Pierre, maybe don't congratulate Doug Ford on getting reelected with a strong majority. Maybe take the moment to highlight that Doug Ford is a filthy tyrant. And you, as a prime minister of a country, would not put up with the tyranny of the premier of a province. Maybe you do that. I did this vocally when I was in Canada. I donated to the trucker protest vocally when I was in Canada. So anybody thinking I'm a coward for leaving, I was vocal when I was there. Do I want to sit there and get pulled under the water with someone who doesn't realize they need help? Hell no. Do I want to sit in Canada where the leaders are going to remain silent on the most egregious violations of charter rights imaginable because they want to wait for the politically opportune moment to do it? Why the hell would I want to be in the company of people who would see me go to jail, get assaulted by a cop, and then justify their leader to not say anything? Yeah, but you have to be an idiot. Oh, no, Viva, you don't understand. Pierre's playing Canadian politics. Bullshit. He's playing Canadian politics. And if this is what Canadians want, enjoy it. There's no difference between Pierre and Mark Carney. Mark Carney inflicts the punishment. Pierre says nothing about it. He sits there quietly. While, where the hell's Melissa Lantsman? Where the hell is LGB rights Melissa Lantsman for the Conservatives? An independent female journalist just got brutalized by 5-6 male police officers in Montreal. Boo! Little goldfish. Oh no, but Viva, why would they say anything about that? That's Montreal jurisdiction. A prime minister doesn't just have the right, but has the obligation to shout out and put on blast injustices suffered by his or her citizens. It doesn't matter the jurisdiction of the violation, and they have an obligation, an even greater one when it comes from the government. I don't give a sweet bugger all if it comes from the federal, the provincial, or the municipal. Anyone violating charter rights, it's federal jurisdiction. You think the feds don't get involved when in Quebec some of the language laws violate charter rights? The feds have the obligation to get involved when charter rights are being violated, especially by the government. And I don't give a sweet bugger all that it's a municipal, provincial, city government. Oh, the same excuse for Tamara Lich. Tamara Lich and Chris Barber were just convicted of mischief for having participated in the trucker protest, organized it. I'll even give you, they organized it. I'll give you the strongest argument you could have for your charter rights violations nonsense. All right, they organized it. They raised funds for it. They were just convicted of mischief in the longest mischief trial that the country has ever seen. Convicted on that charge, acquitted on most. And people tell me, Viva, it's the best outcome we could have hoped for. What have you settled for? You have settled for hell. Don't expect me to settle for hell. And don't fault me for saying I'm not staying in hell because I won't even be able to fight living in that hell. I'm going to be fighting in a country where no one will stand up for me if I get brutalized by cops or locked away. So I came to Florida. I think I've done more fighting for Canada than 99% of the people out there when I live there, and I'm sure as hell I'm doing a lot more when I don't live there. But you think I'm going to sit there and... stay here, Viva. We're not going to say anything if anything happens to you because we got to get elected first. Tamara Lich got convicted. Chris Barber got convicted. And now the Crown wants 2 years. The Crown wants to lock them away for 2 years. Above and beyond, or I guess time served will factor into that. Better not say anything about the fact that Tamara Lich, doesn't matter that she's a female, half Indigenous woman, locked away in pretrial detention for weeks, where the murderers get out on bail. Locked away for weeks. Can't say anything. Pierre really's got to play his cards close to his chest. Can't say anything. Just wait, Tamara. Just wait. Oh, that's right. Now you get convicted after a trial which itself is punishment, unjust, unconstitutional punishment. Can't say anything yet, Viva. Viva, don't be so hard on Pierre. When he gets elected, then he can say something. Oh, what's that? The Crown wants to lock her and Chris Barber away for 2 years. But by the way, no shade on Swift Current Online, and I'm almost being a little tongue-in-cheek here because I don't know what kind of outlet this is. You know who's reporting on this in Canada? Nobody. CBC? Those POS propagandists? Nope. Global News? Not that I can tell. CTV News? Not that I can tell. Radio-Canada? I don't think so. So I have to find it in Swift Current Online, and then I have to, because I know people, just double-check that the quotes are accurate. Double-check that the information is accurate. And lo and behold, it is. They're going to try to force this guy to sell his truck. Chris Barber and Tamara Lich will be back in court today. This is today. They were in court. I don't know when the date is for their hearing. The Crown, by the way, when it's arguing for 2 years for these, want to have like a day and a half of victim impact statements. So Pierre Poilievre, in his infinite political, I don't even know what the word is, courage, in his infinite political so-called conservatism, said nothing when Tamara Lich was arrested, said nothing when she was locked up in pretrial detention, absolutely unheard of for nonviolent mischief, said nothing when she went to trial for 6 weeks over the span of 3 years, said nothing when she got convicted, and now they're trying to lock them up for 2 years, and he has thus far said nothing. You think I'm being mean on Pierre because I don't like him? I'm being mean on Pierre because I expect more from him. I expect more from a so-called conservative. Chris Barber, Tamara Lich will be back in court today to set a sentencing date for their mischief convictions. Barber and fellow, quote, Freedom Convoy, end quote, organizer Tamara Lich were found guilty of mischief for their roles in the 2022 mass protests in Ottawa. Both were also found guilty of counseling others to commit mischief. Better not say anything. You know, the party of anti-woke, the party of free speech, the party of charity rights. Better not say anything. Counseling others to commit mischief. What was that mischief? Oh, yes, protest? You should really go to the protest. That finding was stayed after the request by Crown attorneys. Barber, a Stewart Valley resident, was additionally found guilty on counseling others to disobey a court order. The pair were found not guilty on whatever. They returned to court to determine a date for their sentencing. Barber suggested on social media the Crown is seeking prison time. I have gotten independent confirmation that the Crown is, in fact, at least that this quote is accurate. Quote, my family got bad news today, Barber said in a Facebook post. The Crown prosecutors wants to lock Tamara Lich and me in prison for 2 years for standing up for freedom. They also want to seize my truck, Big Red, and crush her like she's a scrap of metal or sell it at auction. Barber detailed the history with the truck while suggesting it is being targeted for symbolism. It's not about the vehicle, it's about erasing hope, he suggested in his post. They want to erase the spirit of the convoy and make an example of us so no one ever dares to stand up again. Well, it's working, by the way. No, it's working so well that not only is Pierre not standing up, all of his so-called conservative supporters are justifying him not standing up. So congratulations. They won. They won so much that they forced Pierre to stay silent on the most critical civil rights violations in Canadian history as far as I'm concerned. They've won because they've got so-called conservatives supporting and rationalizing and justifying Pierre's deafening silence on this. They've won because they've got conservatives self-censoring. They've got conservatives berating others who dare say, speak up, Pierre. Courage is contagious, but so is cowardice. Can you imagine being Tamara Lich? You've had your life ruined. You've been put through hell. You've been locked up for, I think she was locked up for a total of 56 days in pretrial detention. She was put on the most egregious gag orders as bail conditions ever seen in the country for such idiotic alleged mischief. She was put through a trial that spanned 4 years. She was just convicted, and now she's got to sit there on social media and see a bunch of so-called conservative Pierre Poilievre supporters saying, gee, he'd really like to say something, Tamara, but it's just not the right time. You're just going to have to wait. That is absolute pure cowardice. And people should be ashamed for tolerating it, and Pierre should be ashamed for embodying it right now. And that's that. That's what's going on in Canada, people. Oh, good afternoon. What time is it? Can't see anything. I'm seeing blurry again. Let's see what's going on here. We're going to get to ineptitude. The worst you are seeking is ineptitude. Elitist swamp donkey would also fit. Forced name change says I'm still going to vote for him because Carney's worse and Max has zero chance. That much I understand. And Chet Chisholm says doing the right thing when it is difficult and when it's unpopular takes courage and integrity. Canada is in a death spiral because this nation chronically suffers from cowardice and indifference. And Chet Chisholm, I had him on the channel. Jeez, just like fill in the blanks. Just imagine Pierre sitting down in a room with someone saying, Tamara, I really stand with you. But understand that I can't say anything right now because it would be politically disastrous. Imagine Pierre. I don't even know that Pierre has acknowledged Dan Hartman or Kayla Pollock. I don't even know that they've acknowledged their existence. But imagine them sitting down saying, we're right. We understand what happened to you, but now's just not the right time. You're just going to have to wait. Oh, because why? Because I'm trying to get the support of the people that did this to you. You understand, right? Surely you'll understand. Wrong. I don't understand. I don't tolerate it. I don't accept it. Oh. Now, speaking of high blood pressure versus low blood pressure, it's enraging. It's absolutely enraging. But I'll tell you what is not enraging and what is delicious. But a company that speaks, that lives by its principles and that actually takes a stand. Not just Rumble. We're going to get to that one afterwards. 1775 Coffee. And Tesla. I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing. It all loops together in a perfect bow of sorts. Imagine winning a prize worth $100,000 just for drinking the coffee you already love. A brand new Cybertruck and $30,000 in cash could be yours, but it's your last week to enter. The entry ends April 20th. That's the end of this week. 1775 Coffee is fueling the giveaway. Every dollar you spend on an entry on coffee gets you one entry into it. No hoops, no selling data to big tech giants, just delicious coffee. And every dollar you spend, you can go get the anti-aging coffee. We'll get you one entry into it. It's the coffee of free thinkers, hard workers, and a Rumble crowd that's delicious, wonderful. And that partnered up with Rumble to fill in that void because, Dunkin' Donuts didn't really want to sell coffee to conservatives. Apparently that money's not green enough. And so Dunkin' Donuts said, we're going to pull our ad dollars from Rumble. And what does Rumble say? Well, we got a lot of viewers that like coffee. What did 1775 Coffee do? We like selling things to people who like good products and who like companies that respect free speech. Go to 1775coffee.com, use promo code Viva. It'll get you 15% off. Enter before the giveaway ends and cross your fingers and hope to win that Tesla Cybertruck. Depending on what state you're in, you might want to move to a redder state. Although I think the Cybertruck vandals have calmed down a little bit. Cybertruck, $30,000, coffee that has kick. Don't wait, do it now. 1775coffee.com, promo code Viva. Let me go to the chat, see what's going on here inside of Locals. We got a good show today. I mean, I said I'm done. I'm done. You can be polite. You can try to play politics. There's 12 days left. And I mean, the amazing thing is that people's like, oh, yeah, just accept it, Viva. It's what he has to do to get elected. He has to become like the person he's trying to defeat in order to get elected. But then trust him that he'll change afterwards. You sell your morals to win. You haven't won a damn thing. And what happens more often than not is you sell your morals and you still lose. And then you're a loser with no morals. Okay, let me see what's going on in here. We got... that's from Bill Brown. So we're talking, by the way, Letitia James seems to be in big freaking trouble. We're going to get to that in a second. What else did we have on the menu? Some more Canadian stuff. And some other fun stuff. Tonight, there is the debate, and it is in French. Now, I'm going to ask the chat, what should I do? Do I do the debate in French and do the entire show in French, or do I translate the French debate into English? If I speak the entire thing in French, I mean, sure, I might impress the French Canada or les France de la France, les Français de la France, but no one's going to understand.
I'm going to chime in on that. I want you to translate in English because I would love to participate and see what actually is occurring, and I don't understand French.
Yeah, I think if I only speak in French, it will be useless. No, I mean, not only who would watch it, like no one will understand, and then I'm going to have to translate myself. Okay, I'm going to watch it. We're going to translate. I think it's like apparently scheduled to be 2 hours long, 6:00. If this be magic, says, I totally agree with you, Viva. Why aren't the conservatives standing for Tamara and Chris? Everybody, they've left high and dry the victims of liberal abuse. Tamara Lich, Chris Barber, Pat King, Dan Hartman, Kayla Pollock, Natasha, Rebel News. They've sold themselves out for a loss. I don't even believe in selling yourself out for a victory. You don't defeat the demon by becoming the demon. I've said that for a long time in different contexts.
Oh. Overwhelming response in chat is translate into English.
Okay,
there is
fine.
not one comment that says only in French.
I'm going to start.
So I take that back. There's one. One comment says.
Ah, mais celui qui a fait cet commentaire, lui, il comprend rien. C'est une blague. That's a joke. I'll translate. It'll be fun. I'm going to start a separate stream for that. So I'll end this one and then I'll do it across platforms. And it'll be amazing. We're going to put Canadian politics on the map. I wasn't yet done with. Sorry, I'm done with giving Pierre a hard time. I hope I message people, conservatives. I don't know. Maybe I'm on a block list. I hope someone hears, and I hope he actually just, he figures out he can woo a lot of votes and he can inspire a lot of confidence. But to have ducked out of Patrick Bet-David, Maxime Bernier on Tucker Carlson, I mean, this is just like, it's inexcusable cowardice, period. Now let's go give Mark Carney a bit of a hard time, people. This is hilarious. This is like, I say, in the ordinary run of things, if Pierre were running a Donald Trump campaign, let me rephrase this. In the simulation that this was supposed to be, Mark Carney was running the Kamala Harris campaign. Pierre Poilievre was running the Donald Trump campaign. In the ordinary matrix where this was supposed to occur, that's what should have happened. It might now look like Pierre Poilievre is running a Kamala Harris campaign, and so is Mark Carney. Mark Carney running a Kamala Harris campaign in that he's anointed out of the blue, basically hand-selected, flown in. They had their open leadership race, but it was a foregone conclusion beforehand. Hand-selected to fit the bill. Now, the only reason why it's not the same is I think he's much smarter than Kamala Harris, in as much as I loathe everything he says and does and the way he says it and does it. He's a very polished politician, because there's no real difference between a globalist banker and a politician. Yeah, I haven't. Oh, hold on one second. I gotta bring this one up first. Yeah, Viva hasn't gone hard enough. I think I feel bad that I've gone so hard on Mark Carney. Let me bring this one up here. Oh, so here. I know that my father might be a little Viva. Why do you got? Yeah, someone says I'm not going hard enough on him, sir. Not hard enough in my view. I just pulled up what I think were the best. During the debate, when I was watching their debate, I said, the only reason Karina Gould, Chrystia Freeland, and Frank Bayless are in this leadership race is to make that piece of shit globalist whore, 3 passport-carrying motherfucker Mark J. Carney look good by comparison. Canada is so screwed. Another one. Has the unelected WEF Davos-speaking, Bilderberg-frequenting, 3 passport-carrying globalist Mark Carney pledged to immediately call a national election? Or does he plan on exploiting his appointment to rule a country of 38 million people based on votes of 152,000 people? Credit to Mark Carney, both because he did it and because it was strategically, politically a good move, because it seems to have caught everybody off guard. He called that election right away and only gave 32 days of an election cycle, which sort of compromised the PPC's ability to mobilize. Give him credit where they actually play politics well. Here's another one. Canada's newly anointed 3 passport-carrying WEF Davos whore godfather to Chrystia Freeland's son, successor to Tyrant Trudeau, who has been filling Senate seats despite proroguing Parliament for 3 months. Here is Carney promising to invoke emergency powers to deal with crises of the Liberals' own creation. I don't mean to sound black-pilled, but it really seems like Canada is done for. Not only might Canada never have a fair... this is terrible. Not only might Canada never have a fair election again, it might not have an election again. I do not think people appreciate the utter political hellhole that is Canada at the current time. And not only does there not seem to be an escape or pushback, it seems to be hurling towards the proverbial black hole at ever-increasing speed, apparently to the delight and apathy of too many Canadians. And one more. Mark Carney isn't a globalist, but it's good that he has. The celebration parallax in real time. The Liberals have been in power for a decade. In that time, crime is up, taxes are up, poverty is up, child hunger is up, censorship is up, state-sanctioned murder is up, up, up. If you vote for the Liberals for a 4th time, you are an idiot or you are dependent on them for a job. Watch and share. And there was a video to that. I'm going harder on Carney than Pierre Poilievre is. Now let's go hard on them again. What was this here? So the Kamala Harris campaign, the other element of Kamala Harris's campaign is that she had to pay celebrities to endorse her. Nobody even wanted to sit down with that disgusting person to have a discussion with her. Nobody actually sincerely supported her so much that they would volunteer their own time, dedicate their own time to support her. They needed to get paid. Like, she was the kid in school who was so unpopular, so loathed and detested, she had to pay people to be her friends. Well, I don't know that they're paying this loser sack of crap who says, I'm with you, Mr. Carney. An open letter to Canada's Prime Minister, Mark Carney, from Neil Young. Encryptus, while I'm raging here, could you double check as to how long Neil Young has not lived in Canada for? It's an amazing thing that the celebrities who are coming out and vocalizing their support for Mark J. Carney are multi-millionaire ex-Canadians or even current Canadians living in America. They're the only ones who say, yeah, Canada's good. Just don't bring me back. Liberal Party says, quote, it takes more than bravado to fight this kind of threat. It takes strong intelligence strategies. Quote, Mr. Carney, I believe you are the person to do it. Read Neil. Do we want to read the letter? How long is this?
59 years.
59
He moved in
years he's been.
1966.
It's a sick effing joke. Let me see. This is who the hell formats an article? Oh, here we go. Dear Mr. Carney, I am writing because I want to tell you how much I appreciate and support what you are trying to do for our great country, Canada. Although I have lived in the United States for most of my life, I recently became a citizen of the USA. I am a Canadian and always will be. Now a dual citizen, I was born in Toronto, lived in the small town of blah, blah, blah. Endured polio when I was so young, I hardly understood what was happening to me. My parents were wonderful. Okay. Like you, I've met a lot of people in my career from many walks of life, some of whom are wonderful, a great help to me, and some who were just there for. Now here we are again. Canada's facing threats to its very existence, incredibly from people who thought were our friends. They want our resources. They want our land. They want our fisheries. They want our water. All fear-mongering stupidities and lies. It takes more than bravado. Mr. Carney, I believe in you. This is written by a mentally deficient child. Our core values in caring and fairness. Oh, it's a heavy lift for sure, Mr. Carney, but I, for one, am with you all the way. Peace. Hey, go back to Canada if you're all with them all the way. Oh, I'm with you all the way from America. I'm with you so much from Trump's America. That's the threat that wants to steal your fisheries. I am so with you from Trump's America. I'm with you, but I am not coming back. I don't want to get beaten up by the police. I don't want to get locked away because I said something the government disagreed with. So I'm with you from the freedom and from the prosperity of America. What an honorable son of a bitch that dude is. Do you remember who he is? Neil Young. Who remembers this? I remembers this. Remember when Neil Young, pro-censorship Neil Young, out of protest, said, I'm taking my stuff off of Spotify because Joe Rogan, the purveyor of misinformation and disinformation, is on that platform. Oh, as a matter of principle, good sir, I'm pulling my stuff off of Spotify because I support censorship, and especially I support censorship that is, in fact, accurate information. Wait a minute, what's that? Daddy needs his greens? I'm coming back to Spotify. You thought I was a principled man? I'm just a virtue signaling whore is what I am. Neil Young is returning to Spotify after boycotting platform over Joe Rogan and COVID-19 misinformation, March, a year ago. Neil Young says he's returning to Spotify after removing his music from the platform to boycott podcaster Joe Rogan. He voluntarily removed his music in 2022 after Rogan, whose podcast was exclusively on Spotify, had a controversial infectious disease expert as a guest. Spotify, the number one streamer of low-res music in the world, Spotify, where you get less quality than we made, will now be my music. I'm sorry. Spotify, the number one streamer of low-res music in the world. Spotify, where you get less quality than we made, will now be home of my music again. Is he shitting on them as he comes back to them? In 2022, Rogan interviewed Dr. Malone. He was banned from Twitter for spreading misinformation. He was more right than everyone else. More right than Sanjay Gupta. More right than CNN. More right than the fact checkers. More right than Anthony Fauci. More right than Peter Hotez. But censorship loving, but freedom loving. See, he likes censorship when he gets to control it. He likes censorship when it doesn't cost him any money. The artist known for his there was a reason why it said he's coming back. He said he can't leave music services like Apple and Amazon like he did Spotify because he would be left with very few options to stream his music. So despite the fact that they are now streaming Rogan's podcast, he is staying on other platforms and returning to Spotify. Oh, in other words, I've got principles so long as it doesn't cost me very much. Yeah, I'll stand up for it when it's convenient, but then I'm going to come crawling back like a little capitalist pig when I realize that it's costing me more than I really want. What's that? I thought I just... Hold on. Winston, what are you eating? Hey, are you crazy? What are you doing? Get the heck out of there. Get out of here. Jeez Louise.
What just happened?
The kitchen's under Renos and all the food is boxed up here, and the dog is just eating like dry pasta or something. Yeah, he's come crawling back. So yeah, but so they've got celebrity endorsements for Mark Carney, who live in America, multi-millionaire, principle-less, censorship-loving, globalist whores. Take him. Take Neil Young. Ugh. And that's all I have to say about that. What's this? Yeah, okay, well, we've already done that. All right, what else is going on, people? What's new in the house? go over here and see. Oh, look at this. Hold on. I'm going to bring it up and we're going to talk about this. And then I'm going to go take some comments over on vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Forced name change. I hope Neil Young will remember Canadians don't need him Yeah, someone said keep him there. Would you or Robert care to take a bet? All those resignations among the Conservative Party are because leaders were being told and did not wish to fall in line. Pepe said, okay. Smith said, F you. Forced name change. I have to look into what you're talking about. King of Biltong says, try our Biltong, almost 50% protein, packed with B12, creatine, iron, zinc, and much more. A perfect snack addition to your weekly meal prep. BiltongUSA.com, code VIVA for 10% off. And in Viva Barnes Law. .locals.com. I had pancetta for dinner. Love me some pork belly, says Encryptus. You better get doggy litter boxes in there too, says Boopsy. Let me see. Okay, he's lying down now. We're good. The person who was right from the very beginning when COVID was announced was Dr. Vern Coleman, a.k.a. Old Man in a Chair. He got so beat up by social media that he had to quit for his sanity, says Ali Michael. Svi Hansen says, Viva, to be fair, Young doesn't actually have control over that at all. His music is owned by companies. That's interesting. Didn't factor that into my consideration. And speaking of not factoring in key elements into your consideration and assessment, there was a funny story earlier today. I don't care what anybody says. I like Tim Pool. And I think he's a good man. And I think he's a good journalist, if that's what we want to call what we do these days. And I think he's honest and has honor, period. I can't say he took a lot of flack for his Carmelo Anthony thought experiment. And while I think it was predicated on inaccurate or incomparable facts, there is an argument to be made. And there are people on the internet making the argument that you cannot, at this stage of the Carmelo Anthony situation, outright write off some sort of plausible self-defense. I happen to not believe it, although I will reassess if the trial reveals information that is not known now that should cause someone to reassess their initial opinion. You make the best opinion you can based on the facts that are available at the time, and if you refuse to change that opinion when new facts are presented to your face, you might be Billy Baldwin. And one such case where I was like, yeah, that guy's guilty as hell was Derek Chauvin. I wasn't calling for his head at the beginning, but it's like, yeah, it looks terrible. It looks bad. Then I watched the entire trial, and then I'm like, yeah, well, now I've got a reasonable doubt. And then I went ahead and changed my prediction of conviction to acquittal because I didn't factor in the politics and the political element of that prosecution. Tim Pool put out a video earlier today, and it's quite funny because it's amazing. And it says, Trump proven right, Biden wasn't in U.S. when pardons were signed by robot. Autopen scandal gets worse. What I want to highlight just the first part of this and talk about it a bit because it's quite fantastic.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a correction on so much of what I was talking about the other day. I apologize. I was not aware of the extent of the autopen scandal. My assumption, based on reports I had read and commentary, and this is my fault, was that autopen in the Biden autopen scandal referred to apps that you can apply your signature. And I'd seen so much commentary on this, I didn't actually look into it. Now that the story's breaking, we are talking about quite literally a machine that holds the pen. This is not digital. So let me give you the quick breakdown of the story. Trump the other day claimed that Joe Biden's pardons are void because they were signed via autopen. Now the corporate press is running these stories saying Donald Trump admits to using autopen. Now, the first commentary I saw on this was people generally just saying it was being signed with an app like DocuSign. And so I didn't even think about it. New reports have come out, and I've actually been digging into the story, and shocked as I was to discover, for those that don't know.
I'll fill it. I want to see what this spike, what was this spike right here?
Best and
oh,
worst
come on, I got
dinner
an ad, forget it. Viva, you cheap bastard, why don't you get YouTube Premium? Because I don't want to vote with my dollar on YouTube Premium. In fact, sorry, let me rephrase that. I do vote with my dollar on YouTube. I have Rumble Premium. And that is a perfect time to thank our second sponsor of today's show, people, Rumble Premium. We have always believed in empowering voices at Rumble, no matter how popular or unpopular. And now we're taking that fight to the next level because free speech is under attack and Rumble refuses to back down. When major advertisers conspire to pull their dollars, even all American brands pulled their advertising dollars from Rumble. Truth is, it hurts a little bit, but you try to find an alternative way of financing, subsidizing your activities, and that's where Rumble Premium comes in. To strengthen the mission of supporting free speech, we're excited to offer Rumble Premium, a completely ad-free experience with exclusive benefits for viewers and creators. You will find exclusive content from creators like Russell Brand, Timcast, Mug Club with Crowder. It's more than a subscription. It is a stand for free speech because your voice matters and Rumble is not backing down. Join Rumble Premium today for a limited time, as long as they continue sponsoring the channels here. You get $10 off the annual plan, which is $10 a month. So you get 10%, give or take, off using code VIVA10. So go to rumble.com/premium/VIVA10. Claim your discount today. Together we can and will turn the tide. We will make free speech cool again. We will make free speech popular again. And we will make free speech profitable again. Now, what I was saying about Timcast is that the autopen scandal, it's not new to me. That's why I'm watching this and like, Tim was under the impression it was sort of like a DocuSign autopen and that the president does it wherever he is, but digitally. Now or electronically. Digitally sounds so gross now that the term digital has been turned into figures. But I was aware at the time, that the autopen is literally an autopen that is a physical pen on a paper that requires no arm gesture that does the movements of the signature with wet ink so that it looks like an actual human signature. Nothing digital about it. It just doesn't require the arm of the president. It might still require the consent of the president, but it doesn't require the arm of the president. And the autopen, it's not a new thing. A lot of people in the media are saying like Obama was the first person to use it for president. It's not true. I want to say Jefferson. Hold on. Jefferson. It was used back in the day. I forget which president said it's the greatest invention ever. Encryptus, if you can pull that up. I know it was either Madison or Jefferson, one of the early presidents to use the autopen. The actual, this thing right here, people, it's like not calligraphy, but it's not far off, said it was the greatest invention ever. The autopen or robot pen is a machine used to duplicate signatures. Unlike scanning signatures, it actually produces the signature with ink. The first president to use this extensively was Thomas Jefferson. The autopen was patented in 1803. Jefferson wasted no time acquiring and using the machine. It's worth noting that today's autopen machines are different from the original ones used by Jefferson. In his day, it was known as a polygraph machine and would copy out entire letters while the person was writing. Eventually, it evolved to use a template, which was made by carving a channel into plastic like a mold or a signature. A pen would then follow the channel, producing the signature. Today, of course, there is no longer a physical template, but it is done digitally. I'm pretty sure it's actually, there's a physical, the template's digital, but the pen operates. So it was widely used. I want to see if I can find who said it was the greatest invention ever. But
I was just waiting for a pause and then to tell you.
You might be waiting for a long time, Encryptus.
It was Jefferson who said it. He said it is the finest invention of the present age.
Yeah. So it's always been the thing does it when you're not there, because presumably if you're there, you don't need an autopen to sign off for you. So that element of the scandal, I love that Tim was operating on the basis that it was like a DocuSign. That element was always there. It was never Biden's hand that was doing it. But when are people, and I'm not talking about Tim anymore. I like Tim, and I like that he does a mea culpa, that he does a correction, that he does not even a retraction, doesn't require a retraction, but an update and highlighting it. What I love is that people still don't understand Trump is not dumb. Trump is not illogical. He's not irrational. He's a very smart person. And the reason why many of the things that Trump says that sound bombastic when he says them, but that get proven to be true later on, they wiretapped me. Now I can't think of any other ones. They were spying on my campaign. Well, fill in the blank if you get another one. The reason why much of what he says that seems bombastic when he says it but proves to be true in the long run is because he has more information than the rest of us. What was some of the ones in Encryptus? There were some of the ones where he said things that were, that you knew that he knew more of at the time that he couldn't disclose. Well, I mean, I just even think of like the assassination attempts. Doesn't matter. He's not stupid. He's got more information than the rest of us. And when he comes out and says something like, Biden, was he even in the country when those, forget the fact, was he in the country, but in his head, was he even in the country when those pardons were signed with autopen? My feeling in all of this, I reserve the right to be wrong. I don't think it makes a bloody difference where he was when the autopen was used. The issue is not that the autopen was used when he wasn't there. That's when it would be used, because if he were there, he would just sign it. The issue is one of only consent, and whether or not Biden was instructing the autopen, or whether or not someone else was instructing the autopen, whether or not Biden was out of the country or in his bedroom when his brother and freaking Fauci. Did Fauci get the pardon? No, Fauci didn't get. Fauci, did he get a pardon? He did get a pardon. When Jim Biden was getting a pardon, when Adam Schiff was getting a pardon, was Joe Biden drooling and changing his diapers and bathing while Adam Schiff is out there using the autopen to sign a pardon for his lying, scheming ass that Joe Biden didn't even know about? So the issue is not where was Joe, but what did Joe know? And it's a legitimate question, because at some point, an autopen can become the president and not the actual president. So the scandal is that, in fact, Joe Biden was not in the country, or allegedly not in the country, when the autopen was used to pen a lot of these pardons. And Trump, when he said that they're void, not that he wants to cancel them, but that they are void ab initio, because Biden might not have even known that they were being signed, and that anyone with control over that autopen could literally control the presidency. So it's an amazing thing that we are, the fact that Trump also used the autopen, the fact that Obama also used the autopen, doesn't matter. If they say, Trump, where are you now? Okay, well, we're using the autopen to sign this executive order. Are you good with that? Yes, I am, because I'm cognitively here. I'm not stumbling around, like meandering off of the field. That is a, presumably a valid, binding presidential contract, presidential document. If the man can't consent because of his cognitive capabilities, or does not know what people are doing with the autopen, it becomes a very, very big and very different question. We'll see. But I love the fact that some people, it's an actual pen. Well, there's something else, like when they trace calligraphy out, when they do names, that's how they do it. It goes through this metal pre-carved thing, and it's a bigger arm that makes it bigger. That's how they do it. Forced name change says, my bet proposal was mostly in jest. There are no articles or story to support or deny my claims. I still think I'm right, but your only chance for a real answer is to ask Max himself. Now I actually forget what your question was. Neurodivergent1 says, hey, David, this story and the Give, Send, Go needs to get a little traction. Maybe you can put it on blast. Take a look at the Give, Send, Go set up by Jeremy of the Quartering. The new dad was almost beheaded in front of his wife and will likely not make it.
I dropped the link for that story in the private chat.
Do I want to see it?
This is one of those crazy stories. Basically, a black man went up to a guy at a bus stop and nearly chopped his head off with a hatchet, with seemingly no reason. And it's not being talked about anywhere. And Jeremy set up the Give, Send, Go. Both of those links are in our private chat.
I don't want to see stories like this. Arizona Tucson axe attack leaves Jacob coach nearly decapitated in front of horrified wife during maniac's hatchet attack at a Tucson bus stop. A father who was nearly decapitated in front of his wife and left in critical condition by a hatchet-wielding menace as the couple were in the middle of a cross-country trip home 1 year after their son's death. Jacob Couch, 32, was sitting on a bus stop bench with his wife, Kristen, when a 25-year-old Daniel Michael confronted the pair. Michael was allegedly carrying a hatchet through Tucson's downtown area and began yelling at the couple, seeing your husband get almost decapitated. She recalled telling the stranger they were just leaving as her husband bent down to grab their bags when he launched the horrific attack. I'm still in shock. He cut the artery and struck his skull. The bloody attack took place a mile from the University of Arizona. Coach was rushed to a nearby. So I'm not gonna stop reading that. No, they're gonna raise a Give, Send, Go for the guy. Self-defense.
There's Give, Send, Go now.
Yeah, no. I meant I almost as a sick joke that the Give, Send, Go that they raised for.
Oh, for the
Carmelo. This is the Give, Send, Go for the family.
Yeah, Jeremy set this up. He's going to give it to him.
Help Jacob. Why isn't it giving it to me? Did I not do this properly? Hold on. Yeah, I don't think the link is working. Jacob. Sorry guys, I just want to get this up and show you. Okay, no, it's working right here. It's horrible. This is just like life just trudges along until it doesn't anymore. Okay, well, I'll give everybody the link and you can go support it. This is just terrible. Okay, link. What were we talking about before that? I was reading the chats here. Thanks for the reminder, Neuro Viva. Would you be willing to bring up the GoFundMe that Jeremy was speaking of? Please. Done, and I'll be giving to it afterwards. And that is it. My concern with autopen is not whether or not the consent is given, but what items can it be used on, such as memorabilia versus official docs, such as pardons, etc. Yeah. All right, well, that's the autopen scandal. We go over to Viva Barnes. Before we get into Tishy Tish McTish, I say it's going to be like the lighter news of the day, the news that might even make people happy. Sammy says, is it me, or are there kind of a lot of stillbirths lately? There are stats on that, and I believe if you look to the Scottish stats, I believe stillbirths have rocketed. And I know that I listened to it was Dr. Humphreys on Rogan talking about how they have like midwives now, or midwife nurses, whatever they call them, who specialize in stillbirths because they're happening with such insane frequency. Viva is a busy guy, hard to type and talk at the same time, says Nuge. Oh, what? Because I said loink instead of link? I saw it after I hit send. In Japan, they just use rubber stamps, seals. That is from SVEA 123. I am pretty sure it started with lead poisoning, then to fluoride poisoning, says Encryptus, and I'm not sure what that's about. But all right, do I want to get an energy drink before we do Letitia James?
Yes,
story?
Yes, you do, because you're doing the debates tonight.
Yes, I am.
Now would be a wonderful time.
Well, okay, but I'm gonna end these streams and then start those before we do it. Hey, Ethan! See if I can get a kid. You get an energy drink from the garage? Whichever one. Surprise me.
The vocal fry when you yell for Ethan is one of the funniest things that you do.
Hey! I can do Let us engage on Big Tish, people. It's a story that if there's any cosmic justice or just justice in the world, Big Letitia James goes to jail. I'm sorry. I don't believe in the ordinary run of things that these types of fraud are sufficiently egregious to warrant jail time. I think like a stiff financial penalty would be sufficient. But Letitia James is such, well, thank you, sir. She is such a vile specimen of a human because of what she did, try to do, and is still trying to do to Donald Trump. She might deserve it. You got to see also how they're framing this. We've got the document. We're going to go through the document. But before we get to the document, we got to see how propagandist news is reporting on it. Remember, people, always attack, never apologize, whatever the hell the expression is. Go attack. Letitia James is still trying to prosecute, or is still prosecuting Donald Trump. What do we have here? Axios. Scum of the earth propaganda has to write this. They have to describe Letitia is the victim. She's not the victimizer, everybody. Trump admin goes after New York Attorney General who won civil fraud trial against president. In the framing of the title, it's not that she's being accused of the very same fraud that she prosecuted Trump for, except she actually committed it. It's that she's the victim, and don't forget that Trump was found liable, guilty, whatever, of fraud in the biggest bullshit case you've ever heard. I hate her. Oh my goodness. New York Attorney Letitia James. Yeah. New York Attorney General Letitia James is accusing the Trump administration of weaponizing the government after a federal agency referred her for potential criminal prosecution for alleged mortgage fraud. Why it matters. It's the latest example of the administration following through on President Trump's pledges to seek retribution against his political rival. So hold on. Is he seeking retribution to their retribution, or was theirs justice and his is retribution? We're going to get it. We're going to refresh everybody's memory as to what the accusations were in that case. It's insane what Letitia James is alleged to have done. We'll get to the letter. Trump has already stripped security clearance from James, who is not facing any charges in relation to the criminal referral, and Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who secured a historic conviction. It's amazing how they all get these historic convictions. It's great. State of play. Federal Housing Finance Agency. We don't need to read their credits. So they summarize it here, but she's the victim. Trump is the victimizer. What are they alleging? Let us pull up the letter, shall we? Letitia James is in big trouble, people. Big Tish in big trouble. And I have to say, it's the old confession through projection. It's absolutely incredible. They always accuse others of that of which they are guilty. The iron law of woke projection is going to land Big Tish in the big house. Lock her up after a fair trial, of course. This is what they're alleging. It's unbelievable. So we got the 3-page letter. We shared it on Locals, right? I'm sure we shared it on Locals. She is alleged to have lied about her primary residence because everybody knows that for secondary residences where you don't spend all of your time, interest rates are higher, insurance rates are higher, because when you don't live in a house, you're not necessarily going to be there when the pipes break. And if it's a cottage, a second home, and the pipes break, and you don't realize until you get there a month later, there's a lot more of a chance that that residence, that property, sustains serious damage in respect of the same odds of that happening to your primary residence, where if it happens, you're there and you call right away. She's alleged to have referred a Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia, I think it's Virginia property, as her primary residence because she was going to get better interest rates. Primary residence mortgages receive more favorable loan terms, including lower interest rates than secondary residence mortgages. Lenders view secondary residence mortgages as significantly riskier, as a borrower is more likely to continue paying off a primary residence mortgage during any financial hardship. Interest rates on secondary residence mortgages are typically between 0.25 and 0.5% higher than their primary residence counterparts. However, this gap can widen depending on the lender. At the time of the 2023 Norfolk, Virginia property purchase and mortgage, Ms. James was the sitting Attorney General of New York and is required by law to have her primary residence in the state of New York, even though her mortgage applications list her intent to have the Norfolk, Virginia property as her primary home. It appears Ms. James' property and mortgage-related misrepresentations may have continued to her recent 2023 Norfolk, Virginia property purchase in order to secure a lower interest rate and more favorable loan terms. Understand this, people. Let's go to the second one. What was this? The Lafayette, Brooklyn. January 26, 2001, certificate of occupancy. Oh, yes. This is the one where she lied about the size of a unit, how many rooms it had. Why would she lie about it? Why would she say that it's a 5-unit but only has 4 units? For another specific reason. January 26, 2001, certificate of occupancy lists the property as having 5 units. On February 14, 2001, Ms. Letitia James purchased this 5-family dwelling. Ms. James secured a confirming loan through the Fannie Mae Freddie Mac Form 3033. Conforming loans are only available on 4-unit or less structures. Spanning the last 2 decades, Ms. James has consistently misrepresented the same property as only having 4 units in both building permit applications and numerous mortgage documents and applications. Conforming loans, or Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac backed mortgages have favorable rates and terms to traditional private market mortgages for the explicit purpose of availability to lower and middle income borrowers. Conforming single family loans are subject to a cap of 4 dwellings per property. A building that exceeds 4 units must be treated as a multi-family property and typically has larger down payment requirements and higher interest rate terms, with interest rates between 0.75 and 1% higher due to lenders viewing multifamily loans as significantly riskier. What was the last part here? Analysis. Ms. James, for both properties listed above, appears to have falsified records in order to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. I'm going to give everybody this, and you can go look at it. And do you know what's absolutely amazing? Apply this mutatis mutandis to what Letitia James accused Trump of. Letitia James accused Trump of exaggerating about the size of his units by overstating their size. And why would he have done that? Because allegedly by overvaluating his assets, he would get more favorable loan terms from the banks. In fact, it's totally idiotic. By overstating the surface area, I mean, you'll get a greater purchase price, but every purchaser on earth is going to go measure it and make sure that they're getting what they're getting. In fact, when you overstate the value of your property, you pay more on insurance. You pay more on loans because you're getting a bigger loan, but at a more favorable rate, depending on how much you have to borrow. But she accused Trump of lying about the size of his properties when he exaggerated them to make them bigger. She lied, allegedly, exaggerated to make them smaller so that they would be single-family units and not multifamily units. Now, you give people the benefit of the doubt, or you don't, but at least you got a devil's advocate steelman it. Maybe one of the 5 units is no longer a unit. Maybe they converted the 5th unit into something else so that it's actually a 4-unit and it wasn't a lie. Maybe she planned on using her Virginia property as her primary residence after her tenure as Attorney General. I have zero difficulty believing that Letitia James absolutely lied. And for what? Like, people are saying, well, my goodness, can you imagine lying and risking going to jail, risking everything for a lousy 0.75% to 1% interest? I mean, first of all, if you don't have a lot of money, it can represent a lot of money. What is that? A 1% would be 10,000 on a million. I mean, that's a lot annually. So on the one hand, it could represent a lot of money, but on the other hand, when it comes to people's scoundrelness, it's not usually even a question of the money. It's a question of the principle. You know, like when you go and you're like, God, how much was the gas here? You filled up and it was $3.39 a gallon. You're like, oh God, it was $3.19 down the street. All right, whoop-de-doo. So 20 cents a gallon off 15 gallons. You lost 30 cents. It's not that. 20, it would be $3. You spent $3 more on it. There's nobody on earth, really. I mean, some people, yeah. You want to save, oh cripe. You want to save the money. But when it comes to things like that, more often, it's just a question of the principle. You want to make the right decision. You want to get the best deal possible, even if it's only a question of saving $3, half a Starbucks coffee, if you drink that crap. So with Letitia James, I have no doubt it's not about the money necessarily, although $10,000 on $1 million unit is something. It's just about the principle. I want the best deal. I'm Letitia James. I'm the damn Attorney General of New York. You're going to give me damn good rates, even if I have to lie about it on my applications. I hope they prosecute her ass hard. And I hope they punish her. I hope she gets impeached. I hope she gets stripped of her office. And I hope that she has to pay a stiff penalty or go serve 30 days. She is alleged to have done exactly what she alleges Trump did. The only difference is that Trump didn't do it. Trump allegedly overvalued his assets, allegedly to procure loans from the bank when the bank said we would have done it regardless. A dog crawling in the office here? Got 2 dogs in here now. No, get her. She's going to eat the food here. We got Pudge. She gets in here. She's going straight to the food. She hasn't even been here for 30 seconds. So that's Letitia James. I believe she's in big trouble. And good riddance to bad rubbish. And she definitely deserves everything that she gets in life. And hopefully she gets everything she deserves in life. All right, people. Here, close the door. Oh, she's pooping. Get out and close the door, please. No, you're going to wait for a bit. You can't. Okay, close the door. All right, people. That is it. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to end the show a little bit early, and we're going to go do our locals after party, and then I'm going to get psyched and energized for the French debate. Come watch it. You want to see what Canadian politics looks like? But before we do that, let me take some chats, some questions here. Neurodivergent says, Viva, thanks, David. I know it's a tough story to cover. Jeremy was frustrated that so much is raised for psychos. He's hoping to get this Give, Send, Go to go viral and help out the family. I will DM Jacob Wells, the CEO of Give, Send, Go, and see what they can do. Is it me, or are there kind of a lot of... Oh, I kind of got that. Now, let's go over to... I got all the chats, right? All of the tip questions?
Yes. Question now, just who do you like to raid, and before we move over?
Who do we want to raid, people? Let us see who's on the... Okay, hold on one second. Let's go here. Rumble. Let's let the chat decide.
Is there any channel that is maybe part of the chat community? Because there's quite a few streamers in our community that wants to get a raid right now.
That they have to be live currently. If not, we'll do redacted. Let's do redacted anyhow. We'll take care of that afterwards. Let me go over. Loves Liberty says, what are the choices? It could be anybody, but we'll stick with redacted if there's nobody that we know specifically who's live now.
Someone just posted Gouveia. Is Gouveia live?
We cannot, unless he's on Rumble. I don't know if Gouveia is. First of all, I think he goes live at 6 o'clock. Gouveia is, yeah, he's live at 6. So I don't think, I mean, we could do it. It'll just be it won't work. Do redacted. When you go to redacted, everybody tell redacted to raid. Oh, they probably have to raid someone else. Suggest that they raid Gouveia. Gouveia is a good man and deserves good things in life. Okay, let me go to the chat and just read. Well, no, I'll do this here. Okay, we're doing this. Not till 6 p.m. Okay. Robert starts in 1 hour. Officer Tatum is live on Rumble.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Do Officer Tatum so I can get him on my channel or he can get me on his.
On it.
All right, people. I hope you enjoyed the show today. And I go put some pressure on Pierre Poilievre. It's enough. I mean, it's enough. It's enough. It's a terrible, terrible thing. And you imagine, like, I was just thinking of him driving here, like, yeah, sorry, Tamara, we'd love to help you, but it's not the right time. Terrible. All right. So did we rate him, Encryptus?
All good. Just sent him on over. He's hitting it right now.
Okay. Booyakasha. And everybody. Deanna6201969 says, are you live? We are. Fudder18 says, great show. Come on over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com for the after party if you are so inclined, if you're a member, a supporter. It is for the supporters only. This is how we get to thank them. And moi, je vais commencer à pratiquer mon français pour que je puisse être capable de traduire en temps réel un débat à la chefferie du Premier ministre, à la chefferie du Premier ministre de Canada. Ça sera incroyable. You're going to see, actually, the Bloc Québécois, guys. He's going to be there, right? It's going to be the Bloc. I know the Green Party's not there. Maxime is not there. Ça va être un débat très intéressant. On va voir. Ça va me donner l'opportunité de pratiquer mon français parce que c'est un peu rouillé après 2 ans et demi en Floride. De temps en temps, je vois des Québécois puis je parle en français. Puis parfois, j'entends même des gens qui parlent en hébreu. Et ça me donne l'opportunité de pratiquer mon hébreu. Mais I can't speak Hebrew anymore. I can sort of understand it. And if people are sitting there and they don't know that I speak Hebrew, I can make out what they're saying. Kids Today 2 says, I posted a comment on that jellyfish segment. Hopefully interesting. Okay, cool. Join the locals community. Okay, that's it. We're doing it now. Go. Everybody, go raid. Who was it again? Encryptus, I'm totally seeing
Officer Tatum.
Officer Tatum. Raid Officer Tatum. Tell him from where you came and tell him that I would love to be on his channel and have him on mine. Okay, that said, we're going to locals. We're going to have our 20-some-odd minute after party. I'm going to go stretch my butt and stretch my legs and then get ready for the debate. Boom. Peace out, Rumble. See you tomorrow. You can also consider watching The Unusual Suspects at 6 o'clock. I go hard with the same story, so it'll be a little repetitive. But go, be well, Godspeed, and locals. Here we go. Oh, hold on. Oh, my kid. Are we only on locals now? I mean, this goes on the internet. This goes on the internet anyhow. But no, my kid. We cannot allow unsupervised playing. Nothing. I'm not going to say my kid's good. Kids are kids. Kids are just idiots. They're idiots. And it's an amazing thing. When there's an adult there, there's at least like some sort of Jiminy Cricket on their shoulder. Like, no, you probably shouldn't. What were they doing the other day? Oh, like I dare. Like it's just kids are stupid. The brains haven't developed yet. And the worst thing that can happen to a kid is that the brain doesn't develop out of the child brain. And they become an adult with the mentality of a child. Mon Dieu, sacrifice. I loathe Officer Tatum, says Blanken Mom. I think I like him. What has he done that's bad? Mighty Piss is that Judge Boasberg or whatever is going to hold Trump administration in contempt needs to be impeached. Hey, it might be coming sooner than later. Yeah, I'm. All right. Who put that pumpkin up? This is a pumpkin. It's a pumpkin, people. It looks gross. That's hilarious. That has to be done on purpose. Okay, that's really gross. Oh, the things that I could have done with that pumpkin for Halloween. All right, you need a squash. You need a squash next to that pumpkin. Oh, Denise Antou says accidentally shared without tipping. I don't know what that means, but Duckfat says quel accent affreux et quel abattardissement de la langue granche. That means what a disgust, what an affront, what a horrible accent and a bastardization of the de la langue franche. I think he meant français and not Grinch. I need to install the Locals app on my phone. Says Anton's SC. So yeah, what's going on? Let me refresh here and see what I got distracted by the labial pumpkin. Oh yeah, that's funny. Okay, so you might want to go watch the Unusual Suspects tonight because one of the segments is on Ashley Sinclair, and they were talking about how she like won the lottery and they called it the vagina lottery or something. I'm still not ragging on Ashley Sinclair. She's still a human, and she might have thought that she was entitled. You know, she might have actually thought she had a relationship with Elon, and Elon might not be capable of the normal, marriage type relationships, which maybe Ashley thought she was going to have. But I just made a funny joke where they were talking about how she won the lottery with the kid and they called it a vagina lottery, and I called it the labial lottery. And I got a good laugh on the show, so you might want to go check that out. Howard Duck says, I thought the autopen scandal was Joe Biden keeping his Stingray registered in Scranton. No, the autopen scandal was that it's just not clear that he even knew who was using the autopen. And I have strong suspicions they don't know who the hell was using the autopen. Bluxo says, thank you, Viva. I am as frustrated as you. Thank you. 60 Special. Hello, David. Hello, 60 Special. Svihansis says, we got an article here. Owner of New Jersey businesses admits to fraudulently obtaining over $3.2 million from the Paycheck Protection Program. It's interesting. Oh, geez. Here we go. This is going to reflect poorly on oil, just so nobody thinks that. This is going to be like, this is the fodder that, everyone who has a predilection to this type of stuff is going to. An owner of several New Jersey businesses admitted to fraudulently obtaining over $3.2 million in federal paycheck protection loans, PPP. U.S. Attorney Alina Habba announced. Daniel Dadoun, 48 of Israel, formerly a South Plainfield, New Jersey, pleaded guilty before the U.S. District Court. Robert Kirsch. Dadoun. I knew a bunch of Dadouns from Montreal. According to the documents filed in the case, April 20, Dadoun engaged in a scheme to illegally obtain over $3.2 million in PPP loans for his New Jersey business by submitting false and fraudulent loan applications. After receiving the PPP loans, Dadoun sought to keep the money by submitting false and fraudulent loan How about it? Almost seems harder to steal this money than it does to go out and make. Sure, you won't make $3.2 million. So it's funny that people talk about a life of crime like it's easier. That sounds a lot harder than just going out and working an honest day. Dadoun. I absolutely I'm sure I went to school with a Dadoun. Hold on a second. It's a very common Moroccan.
I happen to know a little bit about this process and how to steal that money from PPP because I was asked to do that.
But you pay it back, pay the freaking loan back. If it's David, there's a Dadoun in Montreal. Let me see. Is this the guy that I went to school with? Huh. Anyhow, so Dadoun, whatever. That's interesting. It's so wild just to be a criminal like, and then you have to live with the incessant fear of getting caught and going to jail.
No, that's not true. That's not even remotely true. Criminals don't think that way. They're arrogant and egotistical and think that they are untouchable. Only people with morals worry about feeling guilty or getting caught. I know, again, I was literally asked by a criminal to doctor the documents in order for him to get PPP money, and he just didn't care, and he never would. And no, for the record, I did not do that.
No, it's. I'm trying to think of in Canada. It was so easy to get. I mean, you call it PPP fraud. Even you could get. Well, this was during COVID protection, but whatever. PPP fraud is rampant in welfare communities, says TT Full-Timer. Oh, it's amazing. And then this is like the despair, or not the despair. This is the black pill that you get when you're a lawyer for too long. Is what what people do behind closed doors. You represent them and you have to defend them civilly, never criminally, but you just feel like there are some people with different moral. What's the word I'm looking for? Moral thresholds, who just don't mind. And that's it. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let's get some cross section, as Barnes says, of questions. I was listening to his Bourbon with Barnes yesterday, and What was the news of the day yesterday in crypto? And Barnes talked about it. Oh, cripe. I'm just losing my mind. There's too much information in there. Barnes yesterday. Oh yeah, income tax. Yeah, the defending the. I wanted to hear. He didn't actually specify or get to it unless he got to it in some of the later questions, as to my smackdown of what's his face, Billy Baldwin. Oh man, like I haven't felt that good. It's so stupid and it's so superficial to like get pleasure out of absolutely ratioing the stupidity. Did you? I told you that Billy Baldwin. He replied. Did I show that clip? Not that clip. How do I?
You didn't. I saw it on Twitter, but you haven't talked about it.
Oh, because it's so good. It's just you don't have to be a lawyer to be able to identify these tactics of intellectual scoundrels or the intellectually dishonest. Well, okay. Let me. I'm always nervous about accidentally pulling up my DMs, but it's going to be too hard to do this one. So one of the guys. Okay, so I want to trace this one back. Okay, I don't want to put it on blast because he basically admitted that he was wrong. Billy Baldwin said what he said. About the show me some evidence. I literally show him the court documents where it was both affirmed and ratified by an appellate review of the bond hearing. Okay, fine. And I appreciate the argument. It's a bond hearing, not a trial on the merits. Then the guy who went hard on me for no good reason. I know why you're not a lawyer anymore. You think a single accusation, blah, blah, blah. He was given the withholding removal status, which is the equivalent of asylum. Okay, so I went a little hard on this guy. And this is the moving goalposts. The issue was not whether or not you could make a compelling argument that he shouldn't have been deported. The question, the ask was, show me the court documents where he's identified as an MS-13 gang member, and I provided them. So I said, I'd love to see the receipts, facts, court documents, and proof. Shows literal court documents. I know why you're not a lawyer anymore. And I love this meme, by the way. Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready? Ha ha, ready. Ha ha ha. I love it. And then he responds. He says, hi, I know you don't know me. I'm not one of your low IQ victims. I've researched the hell out of this case because I'm a Trump supporter who voted for legal process to fix immigration, not suspension of anything resembling the process of illegal deportation. Looking again at the documents you cited, the entirety of the evidence comes as a single hearsay from a confidential informant, I guess, given by ICE. Okay, the immigration court, again, I don't care. And I said, thank you for clarifying that you're not just dishonest. You're stupid. You're not just stupid, you're dishonest. Because I showed what the difference was between a withholding from removal and asylum. Asylum means they can't go, they are granted relief. Withholding of removal, I just want to highlight it because it's actually interesting. Are they the same? No. Asylum, discretionary form of relief for individuals to remain in the U.S. and eventually apply for permanent residence if they meet the definition of refugee. Asylum grants broad release like work authorization. This is grok, take it for what it's worth, but it's a good summary. Withholding of removal, a more limited form of protection that prevents deportation to a specific country where the individual faces persecution or torture. It's not discretionary. If criteria are met, it must be granted, but it doesn't provide a path to permanent residency, work authorization, or other benefits. My understanding is he might have been granted the withholding of removal because if he were sent back to El Salvador, the rival gang members would have killed him. But then where was it where I said, let me see here, go like this. At one point he said, look, when I just heard of this guy this morning. I was like, okay, so if you just heard of the guy, Abrego, this morning, maybe don't shit on the person who takes a little bit more time to understand things before jumping to conclusions. You guys are going to think I'm crazy with this. Whatever. Am I going to find it? I don't think I'm going to find it. It was earlier today. Okay, he says, this morning, I didn't know who this guy was, presumably the guy who was deported. When I wrote that comment, I just started reading about it. I had read a description saying it was basically another version of asylum. I spent hours reading court documents to show this is again, research. I'm willing to admit that parts of my early takes were misinformed on certain technicalities. This is why I start thinking, am I talking to a robot? I update my views as I obtain more information that corrects them. That's what honesty requires. Thanks for lecturing me. And I just said, hold on. So you decided to publicly excoriate me, insult me, and accuse me of being a bad lawyer because of your own misinformation. Apology accepted. So I believe now we've come to grips with we understand where the impasse was, where the misunderstanding was, and I do accept his implicit apology, and I won't rub it in his face. We are now friends. I think we'll see. Nobody cares. Deported says, no, the other issue is he was still here illegally. It's just, oh, yeah. Okay. Have you received your shipment from us? Please don't let it sit. It's some Easter goodies for you. Anton's, no, I went today. Nothing was there. I'm going to go tomorrow. Typically, I get the notifications. And being... what was I just about to say? Yeah, if I don't forget between the time I see the notification that it's arrived and there. Have you received your shipment? I got that. Viva says TT Full-Timer. TT Full-Timer says, I want to send you some links on the horrible effects the insanely potent modern legal weed can cause. I want to breathe. You don't have to sell me on the dangers of weed, especially the hyper. Like, I remember what it was like when I was a kid, and everyone was telling me, you don't know what it was like. What you've got, Viva, when you were a teenager 30 years ago was exponentially more powerful than what your parents' era had in the 70s. TT Full-Timer, I want to send you some links on the horrible effects of the insanely potent modern league weed can cause. Retarded development for those under 25, especially males, and weed psychosis due to high potency, lasting psychosis. We are packing shipments big time. Check this out. That's amazing. I just went to Easy Meats today on Glades, and I love the smell of that place. This one wasn't warm enough. Darn it. What did I do? Did I just yeet myself out of here? A Tish best served cold. Not bad. Oh, whose cute kid is this? Here's a daily smile from cheeky girl Emma, coming from Hyphen. Okay. So first of all, the quality of this photograph is amazing. The depth of field is beautiful. The sharpness. Look, you can see the texture of the hair, the globbery, glooping face of a child. You could probably see the glint and shine in her eyes. They're like little balls of jello. And then that's a beautiful, high quality photograph and a beautiful, happy looking kid. What else? 522. Okay, we're doing good here. We're doing good. Let me go here and see what we got in the chat. Who cares? Okay, we got. Let me go to the bottom of the chat. Debate tonight says Outlook. I grow the strongest marijuana available, 0.55% THC content, called Godfather OG. Weeds. Oh, I can't. One day, I'm saving something for if I ever get on Rogan. I have never gone into the details of my childhood. I want to big a batch of deport. I want a big batch of deport, like 10,000 in one day. Debates tonight. That is from Outlook, and Encrypted.
So a couple fun stories.
From who?
So I dropped I dropped them to you on X earlier today. One of them is UK defined woman. The Supreme Court in UK defined woman as the biological sex.
I mean, it's an amazing thing. Like in a tyrannical society, justice is just a cessation of the violence. And in an insane reality, sanity is just stating the obvious. It really is not hard. It's an X. I mean, it's an XX. Is it XX or XY? XX is a woman chromosome. Yeah.
And Tommy Robinson had his appeal denied today as well.
Yeah, that's another one that just they're just breaking a man and they're just destroying a man because they can. Hopefully, he'll get out. Hopefully, and have a good day, Viva. Thank you for another great show, says Ali Michael. Thank you very much, Ali. And that's it. So what's going to happen tomorrow? What day is it today? It's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. I got to hang with the kid in the morning because the missus has a girls' day out with the neighbors and you're going to go to the beach. And we are stuck with... It's an amazing thing. We've moved to Florida. Never in my life have we ever owned 2 cars before moving to Florida. But you realize, I mean, I think it's everywhere in America. It's impossible. If you have a family and kids, it's impossible. Not like a first world. It's like logistically, you're going to end up spending just as much taking Ubers to get people places. Or God forbid, you take a bike on the frickin' streets of Florida and you get clobbered by a 94-year-old snowbird who can't see over the frickin' steering wheel. So we're down to 1 car because the other car, another Florida thing that I've never even thought of in my life, the sealant on vehicles in Florida gets dried and like peels. And so the car had a lot of water getting in through this little spot where the sealant was peeling on the car. And apparently there's mold in the car now. So we're going to have to figure that out. So tomorrow I have to go fishing with the kid, but 4:00 live show and then English debate we're going to do, unless we just roll it all into one. That will be a long day of streaming. But all that to say, TT full-timer, I know very well of the effects of strong, potent marijuana and other drugs for that matter. The other drugs doesn't concern me personally, but say when I was a kid, I ended up spending a lot of time in a mental institution, not as a patient, as a visitor, where I met a bunch of girls, a couple of girls, still remember their names, who were there. One was manic bipolar, and the other one had something drug induced. I'm not even convinced that the manic bipolar wasn't drug induced. And yeah, man, drugs are a nightmare. When I had on Kelsey Sheeran, she's talking about doing ayahuasca. That's an actual physical nightmare for me. Griffin says, lots of media uses the word scandal like a hook and reel to shock people into reading, listening, or watching. I like that you put the word scandal in quotation marks because there are probably some men and women working in Canada and in New York State that are unaware of some of the behavior you mentioned who may have been scandalized. Viva. Bro, I was a breeder and a grower. 55%. This is for you. Seriously, WTF. Are you for real? That's 0.55%, not 55%.
No, he's saying 55%. So
no, that would kill somebody.
Just for reference, the stuff that I used to be involved with is in the 24, 25, and that was very, very, very high. And I know a handful that in the 42 to 43 range, it's not even available. But if he's actually hitting 55, that's a legit.
No, that'll hospitalize people.
I'm willing to take that risk. By the way, there is a super chat or tip that you did miss from Boopsy. Just scroll up just a little bit. I reposted it for you.
From the Boopsy. Boopsy, read this. To Steelman is that the one from Boopsy? Oh yeah. To Steelman isn't still up to the bank to approve, to do due diligence, etc. from Boopsy. Let me think about that. I'm going to have to go out on a limb and say that the bank probably somewhere in there says it would not be feasible for the bank to go out to every condo, every individual unit. I don't know. Let me think about this. Don't want to be accused of having double standards. She's accused of the primary residence. There's no way that they can make sure that she's not lying. I mean, they can interrogate her on that, but they're relying on her statement. They're going to send like private eyes and make sure that she lives there. They could do that. But for that statement, that is the information upon which they rely. For the surface area, etc. Yeah, I mean, I presume they should probably send someone out there. Like whenever we got a mortgage, they sent someone out to look at the property. So for the lying about the units, maybe. But even then, someone could. I mean, even then, if they're going to send somebody out to like look at every condo and whatever that gets insured, I mean, it's an impossible task. And also to steelman it, someone might have gone out and they might have concealed one of the units or something. I don't know. But yeah, there's an argument to be made there, but not for the affirmation of primary residence. That they have no way of verifying, but for her statement, and then potentially sending out sleuths to see if she's actually living there. I mean, they could use logic and say, how the hell are you going to have this as your primary residence if you're the Attorney General of New York? And then maybe there's some. Now hold on a second though. The fraud. Yeah, I guess the question is the bank going to complain? I imagine the bank would complain in that situation. Although Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, are those not government oversight?
They're 100% federal agencies.
Yeah, so that I mean, then the feds have the right to take that action. Yeah, it's Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They got taken over by the government in the housing crisis. So no, she's screwed. I mean, the feds are the ones who could make the complaint in that issue, I think. I'll defer to Barnes's big brain, but as I think about it out loud, that's my thought. Neurodivergent says, I was forwarded some contact info for a potential guest. He's a comedian that has been doing some charity work to help out veterans. I'll send you an email about that later. Sure, but don't leave me suspended. I need you to tell me who the guy, if you can tell me, Neurodivergent, who it is, I'm actually very curious and obsessive, so I'll get very irritated if I don't know. Thanks, Viva says Boopsy. Mortgage brokers play all kinds of games to get the loan funded and secured their commission. True. TT Fulltimer says, I had a Canadian girlfriend. COVID ruined our relationship. She started with weed and finally on fentanyl. OD'd and Narcaned out 6 times. One died OD, but revived the paramedics 2 hours before her final OD. We were on the phone. She swore she had no drugs. She had gone to the hospital the week before, had a bed in rehab started. It was January 4th time, and her final overdose. Kayla Rose, you can find her obit. Wow. The special SOV has a Rogan here. It says, law is a bunch of words written on paper by people who are generally considered to be liars and thieves. So let's try to figure out what's right rather than what's legal. I do not believe that Rogan originally said that. Bill Brown says, weed slows my brain down so I can focus. My last recollection, weed, I would have a million thoughts in 1 second, and each one of them would be an eternity. Terrence Popp. Let me see who Terrence Popp is. Terrence Popp. Do I know him? I consider myself to be relatively well-versed in the stand-up community. The hell is this? They don't show a picture of Terrence Popp on IMDb. Useless.
A Neuro just dropped a Rumble link.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go look at that. All right. But now I'm going to go and relieve myself, set up a stream, and get ready to sit down for another 2 hours and listen to La Belle Langue dans la Belle Province. Carney is going to get smashed because I do not believe his French is mildly proficient. I believe that he has memorized certain words, certain expressions. He is going, oh my goodness. Do I make it a bold prediction?
Please do.
I do not think he is proficient in French. And I think it's going to come out tonight and it's going to be embarrassing. Okay, and may it be the case, because in as much as I absolutely poo-poo on Pierre, I have bet that it will not be a liberal majority. Kalshi? I have bet that it will not be a liberal majority, and that I have a bet that it's going to be a conservative majority, but that now I'm like down 50%. But I bet no against the liberals and yes on the conservatives for prime minister. Holy crap! I'm down a ton. I'm down a ton of a percentage. So despite all of it, I just cannot believe what an absolute coward. I just can't believe it. Okay, go. Enjoy the day, people. Godspeed. God bless. I will see you tomorrow. And what else? That is all. End stream. End transmission. See you in 30 minutes, peeps. I'm going to set this one up across all platforms. So 4 platforms. Let's do it. Ending stream.